ਹਾਰਦਿਕ ਨਿੱਘਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਕੈਥਲੀਨ ਵਿਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਵਿਸ਼ੇਸ਼ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਉਸ ਨਵੇਂ ਕਰਿਕੂਲਮ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ 'ਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਤੰਬਰ 2015 ਤੋਂ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਆਂਦਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਜੋ ਵਾਦ ਵਿਵਾਦ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਮੁੱਖ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਸਾਹਿਬਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਵਾਬ ਦੇ ਸਕਣ। ਫਸਟ ਆਫ ਆਲ ਵੈਲਕਮ Kathleen to the program.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, so tell us something about this new curriculum, what it is.
So as with all curricula in Ontario, whether it's mathematics or science or history, there's an ongoing process, and so the health and physical education curriculum in Ontario has not been revised since 1998, and so there are a lot of changes. Obviously kids didn't have access to Facebook and Snapchat, and they didn't all have cell phones in 1998. So there are a lot of changes that need to be made, and it is about keeping children safe and making sure they have the information they need so they can have healthy relationships.
So if these changes are good, why such a big, huge opposition, especially in the GTA?
Well, it's interesting. You know, some of these subjects are challenging for people. You know, children understanding when their bodies are changing and understanding relationships and the diversity in our society. Those are challenging ideas for people, and sometimes they're hard things for parents to talk about with children. And so we want to make sure that the school provides an environment where kids get good information. We're not trying to take the place. Obviously, the school doesn't take the place of parents. Parents are the first and most important teachers for children. But we have had a health and physical education curriculum in Ontario for decades, and it must be updated.
Why it was withdrawn in 2010?
Well, there was a feeling that there needed to be more consultation with parents, and we've done that now. We've consulted with 4,000 parents across the province. We've consulted with parent organizations. We've consulted with the police. We've consulted with public health experts, and so we're confident that the curriculum that we're now bringing forward is based on the best research and the best evidence, and so it will be in schools in September 2015. But there will be training for teachers, and right now we have materials that can allow parents to get information. There's a parent guide that's been translated into Punjabi, and in 6 other languages, and there will be more languages. And there's information about some of the myths and some of the facts that people are most concerned about. You have to remember that there are some people who have wanted to make this a political issue. You know, they've wanted to say this is about liberals doing something, it's Kathleen Wynne's agenda. That's not the reality. This isn't a partisan issue. Politicians don't write curriculum. Curriculum is written by subject experts.
ਇਹ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਅਨੁਵਾਦ ਜੋ ਕਿ 200 ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਸਫ਼ਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਕਰਿਕੂਲਮ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਪੜਾਅਵਾਰ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ। ਸੋ ਦੋਜ਼ ਕ੍ਰਿਟਿਕਸ who say because now you are in majority, in 2000 it was minority, politics is behind. What you want to say about that?
Well, what I want to say is that it's our responsibility as a government to make sure that what goes on in our schools is in the best interests of children. We have an excellent education system. People come all over the world to live here because of our education system, our healthcare system. People come all over the world to look at our education system because we have one of the most diverse systems in the world. And you know, we have children in our schools who come from many different backgrounds, who speak many different languages, who have different colored skin, and who have different cultures, and who live in different families. You know, some kids live with a mother and a dad, some kids live with grandparents, some kids live with one mom or 2 moms or 2 dads, all across the spectrum. We have families who represent and are part of that diversity.
Few communities feel that many chapters of this new curriculum are not age appropriate. Why in such young age you want to start?
Well, what we have done is the experts have given us advice on when children are thinking about these issues and when they need to have information in order to keep them safe. So one of the things that people have said is, why in grade 1 do kids need to learn about the names of their body parts? Well, what we know is that kids are starting to talk about those things at that age, and we want them to have accurate information because we want them to be able to articulate information about their own bodies. That's the beginning of being a healthy person and being able to build healthy relationships. If you know about yourself and you understand your own being, then you can tell people no if they're doing something that you don't want them to do to you, and you start then to have a good, healthy relationship with other people.
And the language in some chapters, some people consider it's explicit. What do you want to say about that?
Well, some of the explicit language is in teacher prompts, and what those are is those are bits of information that if a child or a student asks a question, teachers need to have the information. I mean, teachers are just people, and they need to have the support of information as well. And so we want to make sure they have the information. But the fact is that younger and younger children are getting information because of the internet, because of movies, because of popular culture. They're getting information and they have a vague idea about things, but we need them to have accurate information so that they can protect themselves. And what the research shows is that if children have accurate information, if they know the kinds of relationships that people can have or the kinds of things that people can do together, and they know what causes harm, we can keep them safe. That what happens is if they have more information, we see a decrease in sexually transmitted diseases. We see a decrease in unwanted pregnancies. But kids have to have information in order for that protection to be in place.
ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਕੈਥਲੀਨ ਵਿਨ ਹੋਣਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਸ ਨਵੇਂ ਕਰਿਕੂਲਮ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ 'ਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਸਤੰਬਰ 2015 ਤੋਂ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਣਾ। ਸੋ ਵੀ ਵਰ ਟਾਕਿੰਗ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਦ ਆਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲੀ ਇਨ ਦ GTA and population of our province is now so diverse. What do you want to say about this criticism and opposition especially? Do you agree to some kind of reasonable accommodation respecting the diversity?
So what has always been the case in Ontario is if there's a section of the curriculum that parents are aware of and they've read the information and they're still not comfortable, if they talk to their teacher and they talk to their principal on a case-by-case basis, they can withdraw their child from that part of the curriculum. That's the accommodation that has been in place in Ontario for many, many years. I hope that doesn't happen a lot, because what it means is there will be a conversation happening in the classroom that those children who are not there won't be part of. So they will not have the information that their peers have got. But if parents, once they've read the curriculum and they understand what is actually in it and they're still not comfortable, they can work with their school to have their child withdrawn.
Then again, with this withdrawal, few people don't agree because they say in GTA majority people are against this. Why majority should withdraw, minority should withdraw?
Well, actually, if we look at the numbers, it's a majority of parents across the province who believe that their children should have information. They want their kids to have information, and that's part of the work that we have done to gather people's opinions. And so, actually, the majority of people in Ontario, parents in Ontario, do want their kids. For example, 95% of parents want their children to have information about the way their bodies are going to change before they go into puberty. And puberty is happening earlier. Girls and boys are entering puberty anytime after 8 years old or 9 years old, on average, up to 13 or 14. So that information has to get to kids early, and we know that parents want their kids to have that information.
When this curriculum was released in February, and in few days there were a few surveys by the media, and over 90% people were against it. What do you want to say about those surveys which were only conducted in few days?
Well, again, I don't know the validity of those numbers. What I know is that the majority of parents across the province want their kids to be safe, and the majority of parents recognize that there's information in the public realm now because of the internet, because of all of the media, that wasn't in the public realm in 1998. And so that's why we have to rely on the experts. We have to rely on the subject experts just just the way we do in history, just the way we do in mathematics and science. We have to rely on the evidence, and that's what we've done in this curriculum.
So all the parents who are opposing it, you think they are politically motivated?
I don't believe that. I think that probably the majority of parents who are concerned because they either haven't read it or they disagree with parts of it. So I know that all parents care about their children and they want the best for their children. There is an element of politicization that has happened. I know because I've been in rallies where the chant has been "No more liberals." Well, being liberal has nothing to do with this curriculum. This curriculum is about physical and health education for children. It doesn't matter if you're a liberal or a conservative or a New Democrat. We all should be concerned about the health and safety of our children. So I think it's unfortunate with those few people who have made this a political issue, that they are stirring up the issue rather than trying to calm it down and make sure that people simply have the information and understand what has been going on in our schools, because there has been health and physical education for so many years, and much of what is in this curriculum has been in our schools for many, many years. And so, there has to be a question about why now would people be that worked up about it when it has been in our schools for many years. And the fact is, young people have access to a lot of information, and we need them to have accurate information.
In diverse communities, this discussion is also very, very hot, that to young kids in the school, it will be told them various family setup, like 2 fathers, 2 mothers, and children in the family. How do you want to address that?
Well, I know that one of the things that is said in some of these very emotional meetings is that this is Kathleen Wynne, and because she's a lesbian, she's trying to impose her agenda. That is not the case. I have 3 children. I have 3 grandchildren. I want the best for all of our children. And the fact is that in our classrooms, as I said, there are children from all different backgrounds. And if a child sitting in a classroom lives in a family with a mom and a dad, or lives in a family with grandparents, or lives in a family with 1 mom, or lives in a family with 2 dads, I want all those children to see themselves reflected, just in the same way that I want children who speak Punjabi as their first language. I want children who are black, or children who are native, or children who are brown-skinned, or who are from different religions. I want all those children to feel safe and to feel included in our schools. That's what the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is about. That's what the Human Rights Code is about. That's what Ontario is about, is that inclusive education and society. And so that's what I would say to parents who are worried about that. The fact is that children come from diverse backgrounds. That's a fact. Okay. We didn't make that up. That's a reality. And so we need to make sure that our curriculum reflects that.
ਇਹ ਨੇ ਜੀ ਕੈਥਲੀਨ ਵਿਨ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਮੁੱਖ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਹਨ, ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਹਨ, ਔਰ ਬੜਾ ਸਟਰੋਂਗਲੀ, ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਕ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਕਿ ਇਹ ਕਰਿਕੂਲਮ ਨੂੰ ਡਿਫੈਂਡ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਐਪਰੋਪਰੀਏਟ ਹੈ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੀ ਪਾਪੂਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਚਿਲਡਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ 'ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਫਿਊਚਰ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇਹ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਕਰਿਕੂਲਮ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ 'ਚ ਵਿਸ਼ੇਸ਼ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਦਾ ਆਯੋਜਨ ਕੀਤਾ। ਪਰ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਬੜੀ ਚਰਚਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈ। ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ, ਯੂ ਨੋ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਦ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ, ਇਟਸ ਗੋਇੰਗ ਅਪ ਐਂਡ ਯੂਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਮਿਸ ਵਾਜ਼ it will come down, but recently our audience knows about the report that drivers in Ontario have been overpaying from last 10 years, and instead of going insurance down, it's going up, especially Brampton is on the top.
So actually I just have to challenge the premise of your question, because across the province insurance rates are actually down 6% on average. And remember, we've always talked about averages, so we're committed to working to a 15% on average reduction. We're already at 6%. We know that there's more to do, and so what this report demonstrates is that there is more work to be done. There's still fraud in the system. We have one of the richest auto insurance systems in the country. We have to come in line with other jurisdictions, and we need to get more of those costs out of the system. But the fact is that there are some companies that are offering reduced rates of 15% already. There's already reductions of 15%. And the problem is that this is always going to be an average. So even when we reach 11, 12, 13% reduction, there still will be people who will be paying some more auto insurance, some less auto insurance, because of all the factors. There's so many factors that go into determining what I pay for auto insurance or what you pay for auto insurance. And that's the trouble with averages, you know, and that's what actuaries do. Actuaries figure out all these calculations, and it doesn't mean that every single one of us is going to see a 15% reduction. But they're down 6% across the province.
People say it should be according to the record of the driver, not where you live, like Brampton or other cities. It's most expensive. But the question is here, you are not defending insurance industry, you are defending people of Ontario?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's why we made a commitment to reduce auto insurance costs. And when we came into office in 2003, we started reducing auto insurance costs. They went down 11% over a few years in our first, when Premier McGuinty was the Premier. As I say, they've gone down 6% on average since I've been in office, and we will continue to work to get those rates down. But there will always be factors that are different depending on where you live. I mean, the fact is that living in an urban centre like Toronto or in the GTA, there are more factors at play than if you live in a small town in some other part of the province. And this is a bigger issue in some of the communities that we represent in the GTA. In the community that I represent, this is a very big issue. But we will continue to work. They're down 6%, and we're working towards getting more costs out of the system.
Very good. ਚਲੋ ਜੀ ਫਿਰ ਇਹ ਹਨ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਕੈਥਲੀਨ ਵਿਨ। ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੋ ਵਿਸ਼ਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ, ਇੱਕ ਤੇ ਕਰਿਕੂਲਮ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ 'ਚ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ 'ਚ। ਐਟ ਦ ਐਂਡ ਯੂ ਵਾਂਟ ਟੂ ਐਡ ਸਮਥਿੰਗ ਫॉर ਆਵਰ ਆਡੀਅנס?
No, just to say thank you very much for being the voice of the community and for taking the time to talk about the issues that are important to the community. I really appreciate it, and I hope we'll have a chance to talk again soon.
Sure. Thank you very much, Premier.
Thank you very, very much.
ਤੇ ਲਓ ਜੀ ਫਿਰ ਇਹ ਸੀ ਵਿਸ਼ੇਸ਼ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ, ਤੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦਾ ਹੁਣ ਸਮਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਸਮਾਪਤ ਹੈ। ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।